Take a deep breath. Welcome. Welcome to Make Shift Happen, the Spiritual Variety Show. As we come together, take a deep breath. It's time to take a deep breath, darlings. It's time to take a deep breath. How many times do we go throughout our day and not take those moments of taking that deep breath? You know, when you take that deep breath, feels like magic, doesn't it? It feels like a bit of magic has just came and visited you. How many of you agree with that? Because when we take that deep breath, it's like, well, I can even feel the emotion right behind my eyes, tears sprinkling my eyes of like your body saying, thank you for coming back to me. It's like your heart is opening and saying, thank you for letting all those things that do not serve you to just slide away, to flitter away. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you are. I'm Tammy Lee with Make Shift Happen. And we can do it that easy within a breath. For those of you that are new to me, I am a magical shift maker and way shower. And so many other things, like all of us are. I guide and teach others. Some call me a bridge to other dimensions. To reconnect, I help others along with myself, right? Because we that are the way showers, we that are the magical shift makers, we that are the starlights, we that are the magical ones, which I believe each and every one of you have those capabilities. And I'm here. Part of my purpose, part of my mission, part of my beingness of being here, of being here on earth at this time, is to assist others, especially women, to reconnect in those profound ways within us, to tap into that. Hear these words, to tap into that. Feel that energy that is now surging through you. To rediscover, and reconnect to that sovereign, sacred self of who you are. And to unearth your magical qualities. So as you join, take a deep breath. Take that deep breath. And again, and one of the things I do is breathe in for a count of 3, hold for a count of 3, And exhale for count of 3. Life can get us into a tizzy. And it can be simple little things. So I'm actually on vacation. First vacation, like real vacation. Usually when I would travel, it's always has to do with going to, has a purpose behind it besides vacationing. Like really relaxing. I was in bed until after almost 10 o'clock this morning. I just allowed myself, my body, myself to just rest. And I would keep falling back asleep. Went to bed before 9 o'clock or before 10 o'clock last night. I fell asleep before 10 o'clock last night. Went to bed earlier than that. And it's fall here in where I'm vacationing. And the trees, I don't know if you can see that. I was trying to set up for this call today because I just wanted everything to be perfect. Like, oh, if they can only see the trees. So I'm like, okay, there's, maybe you can see the colors behind me as the reflection. The reflection comes off of the windows, the sliding door. The reflection. So how many times do we have something that wants to reflect? Oh, that's even better, huh? Yes, that's even better. Because if I had that as my background, you couldn't see, like I was really dark. So I had to turn around and switch around and yes, thank you, Joanne. Welcome, Joanne. She agrees, that breath. Yeah, it's like magic. And tapping into your magic can be that simple. Tapping into your magic can be that simple as a breath. So on a true vacation, I wonder if I turn my camera around, yeah, you can start to see. Because one of the things, where I live, we don't have all these kind of trees. You can see more of the colors and how they're starting to change. So a true vacation, canceling out of all commitments except for today. Today, Wednesday. A makeshift happen. Because this I can make happen. And it's really interesting how. Because there's been 2 different times in the past, past 30 days that circumstances out of my control. How would you say that? So I'm just thinking, well, maybe I did have some control. Circumstances that created a lot of kinks. Okay, that's a good way of saying it. Not out of my control, because maybe I could have done something. But 2 makeshift happens weren't working. One, I was at a funeral. Timing didn't work out. I thought it would be done, or I would be in a space to where I could still make it happen on a Wednesday. And my dad, I took my dad to the funeral. And even though he's in really good shape for being 80 some years old, it's like, no, none of us want him to drive by himself anymore. And then last week with my husband at doctor appointments. Trying to find out of what's going on within his body. You see, we all have a choice. And as simple as a breath can be healing. can be healing. So vacation. When were you truly on your last vacation? It has been, I don't even remember a true vacation to where it's just me or me and my husband. Or yes, we had 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we came on vacation with our children and our grandchildren. But you still have things, right? You still have, when you take a lot of family members, or when you meet a lot of family members, you still have some responsibility. Well, I do, because of the kind of mom and grandma I am. So when have you, in the last time, have truly just, and it's okay, ladies, have truly just been thinking about, I desire a break. I want a break. I want to just be with me, or reconnect to that special someone that you take on that adventure with you. Whether it's a significant other, whether it's a child, because there are times when I would, whenever I have gone to New York City, my daughter Tara, I'll meet you there, Mom. And one-on-one, with my girls, one-on-one with each child, that's a true, like, vacation. Yeah. Because they take care of me as much as I take care of them. It's nice. So allow yourself to say yes to you. Allow yourself to say yes to you. Breathe that in. Breathe that in. Allow myself to say yes to me. Take in that breath. Allow myself to say yes to me. I allow myself to say yes to me. Breathe it in and hold that. I allow myself to say yes to me. And exhale that. I allow myself to say yes to me. So we're talking about simple ways right now. And your vacation could actually be in your own home. Allowing yourself 24 hours, full 24 hours, to just be with you. Turn off your phones. If you want to binge watch something on TV that's loving and cuddly, your own vacation, or just be without electronics, be without internet, just be with your heart, be with the wilderness that's around you, whether it's even a potted plant in your home, because I know some of you live in apartments. Allow yourself to be. And when you do that, you would be amazed at the different thoughts or dreams that would come and visit you. Last night I had a dream, or I would say early this morning when I fell back to sleep, and I kept hearing this voice saying, so it's really simple. Oh my goodness. I knew I should have brought my paper, and I didn't grab it. Something like a nice face. A nice face can change the world. So think about this. Think about your face. And when you are just sitting there, does it have a natural smile to it? Does it have a glow about it? Does it have something from within you that gleams out to where people that would walk by you, by just looking at you, or you looking at them, can change their world for that moment in time. Simple way, right? Simple, but profound. Simple, but profound. Because I'm sure many of you have heard of this saying, resting bitch face. You know, people that have that kind of face that you just think they're upset just by looking at them because of how their face is. My girls called me on that about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like, Mom, what's up with you? You have a resting bitch face. I'm like, what? I've never, ever, ever been told that before. And I have this relationship with my kids that we are honest with each other. And they didn't say it to make fun of me or condemn me. They're like, Mom, what's up? Because that was so unusual for me. So I want you to all to think about this. What is the look on your face that people would say or get from you? You can change somebody's perception. You can change the world one person at a time by just the look on your face. By just the look on your face. I remember dating this guy. Well, actually, I was best friends with this girl in high school for a bit, and my car broke down, and so her brother came and picked me up for school, and that happened a few times in a row. And I remember thinking, God, is this guy pissed off? Like, is he pissed because he's got to come pick me up? Because thinking he has to come pick me up. And finally, one day I just asked because he had because even guys can have it, a resting bitch face. He looked pissed all the time. That's how our looks, just by how we are. How are you? How are you looking? Just by being your natural self. Will you take a look and see can I improve that? Can I improve how my look is by adding a little sparkle, like taking that? We have this saying in our home, even our grandkids, take that frown and turn it upside down. So please let me know. All of a sudden it's saying connection is unstable. So let me know if you can still hear me, please, as I might need to move inside. I really wanted to be out here. I wonder if I open the door, if that would help. I wanted to be out here because it's so beautiful here. And it's a bit chilly, but it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So as we come together and we really think about the simple ways that we can make a difference in the life of others, but also make the difference in the life of ourselves. Making simple steps in the life of ourselves and how we can change, or what can we improve upon? What can we shift in our lives? As simple as looking at your face. Is it something you would want to look at? And I don't mean about whether you think you're pretty or not. I'm saying, can you add a smile? Can you turn that, have a little, like feel that with your breath. So when you take a deep breath and you let it out, do you feel like a lightening up? Like you're lighting up a bit? Before I came on here, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that lighting up. And now I do. What different things can you do to lighten yourself up? Yeah, you. For you. Make yourself a cup of hot tea. That's what I did, with a little lime and lemon in it. And you know what the tea, the tea that I picked, says cheerful. It says cheerful on it. I'm like, okay, that was a little reminder for me. You know, something else some people do is they pick a card. I don't have any cards with me, or I'd pick one. But, you know, those, like those deck of cards that have really nice sayings in it. Pick a card. You know, some of these things that are real simple that we can do for ourselves, sometimes we just forget. Girls, I forget too. Sometimes we just forget to do these simple things. Yes. And it's time to recall that. Sometimes I have to remind myself on a daily basis. Do you have the opportunity? Okay, this is just coming. To just go and sit somewhere. Maybe your vacation is an hour. Maybe that's all you can do. To vacate turmoil, stress. Vacate, part of vacation. If you have an hour or 30 minutes, what can you do for you? Taking a daily vacation. It rained here a little bit ago, so I wasn't able to go on my walk. Or I chose not to go because it was raining. And I'm like, oh, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because with the rain came the silence. Everybody stopped working outside. I just heard a boat go by because we're by a lake. Now the waves are washing up against the shore. So the sound of water. What little things in life can help you to take, even if it's a 5-minute vacation? Because not all of us can get away. So once you take that deep breath again, breathe in for a count of 3. Hold for a count of 3. Exhale for a count of 3. And maybe your vacation is 30 seconds. But when you can feel that, when you can feel yourself lighten up, this shine starts to come through you, glows through your face. You begin glowing. You begin glowing. Whether or not you have makeup on, whether or not how much you think how pretty or how much you don't like yourself, because a lot of women don't like to look at themselves in the face in the mirror. I go through times like that. There's times when I think my skin looks so old. We all go through that, darlings. Breath, oxygen can make a huge difference. Remember, One kind face can make a difference in somebody's world. One kind face can make a difference in somebody's world. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. So, hi, Carol. So Joanne says, a few years ago, I took my twin grandsons to Kauai, to see if that's right, for 3 days to see where their ancestors, to see where their ancestors from Germany had landed in 1883 and all the other amazing natural features of that island. We three had a great time just doing what we decided to do, moment by moment. Magical days never to be forgotten. Isn't that glorious? Joanne, thank you. Thank you so much. She says she was needing to lighten up this morning. And really, ladies, thank you. When you make comments on these lives, when I'm here with you live, if I could only express to you how that touches me. Because just a few moments ago, I was thinking, I don't even know if the subject matter is worth talking about. I don't even know if I'm making a difference. Those thoughts were going through my head. Okay? And here I read Joanne's comment. She was needing to lighten up this morning. Boom. I call that a feedback loop. I call that a feedback loop because here I am thinking about this. These thoughts were coming in my head and I just knew to keep, but however, my soul, my spirit, my essence, my heart said, just keep going, Tammy. Making a difference somehow. Just keep going. Not even knowing that comment was there to say, you got it, girl. Thank you. So yes. Where do we go from here? Do any of you have any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns you want to bring forth? Go ahead and type them in the text chat. Hey, Miss Carol, how are you doing this morning? See, sometimes it's good to just be in silence with one another. Have you ever done that? Just sitting with another person and nothing has to be said. Sitting with the energy of one another. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Carol says, I'm doing well. We need to get together and chat. I miss you. Thank you, darling. Joanne, yes, just hanging together without words. Powerful. So how many of you can do this with Mother Nature, with Mama Earth? Just sitting, being. Allowing energy to move through you. The energy of that connection. A lot of times people think when you go on vacation that, how many times do you hear this? I need a vacation from my vacation. That I learned years ago. Whenever I go away to make sure and schedule an extra day to just chill before and after. And I'm making sure that I have those moments in these 7 days that Tim and I are away to just chill. We're on this amazing balcony. Carol, I showed a picture before, and I love to see all the changes of colors. And no, they're not even in their peak yet. So just chilling out here on the balcony. So if it's a little bit more difficult for you, can you just sit and chill? Carol, I know you have that amazing fern from your grandmother. Sit and chill with her. I can feel that fern wanting to connect with you in deeper ways. Yeah, that's interesting. That just popped through. Whew. You don't get to fall in Hawaii. Let me do that again, Joanne. Isn't that a gorgeous red right there? We are actually in Branson, Missouri. Years ago. Oh, here's a good story for you. You know what? How about if I just do this? I don't know. I'll just do that. Yeah, you guys don't have to see me. There. How's that look, Joanne? We're at Branson, Missouri. So this is a really interesting story. Years ago, when okay, you tell me if you ladies want to look at the scenery or okay, I'll let you look at the scenery as I share this story. Years ago, when you see the water down below. Okay, so let's see, I'm 59. I've had our house, so probably about, I've got to think back here a bit, 29. Wow. A bit over 30 years ago. I looked for my natural grandfather. My dad was illegitimate when he was born. And my grandmother, my dad grew up thinking the father he grew up with, thinking that was his natural father. Well, my dad did not find out until he turned 17, that he actually had a different last name, a different father. So, of course, it was a shock to him. Back in those days, my dad was 2 years old when my grandma ended up marrying the person I grew up knowing as my grandfather. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for my grandmother. So think about this. Over 80 years ago, in that day and time, my grandmother was pregnant, single woman, pregnant, and chose to have her child. And she didn't have a job. She met a man that his wife just died, and he had 2 girls, and he needed somebody to take care of his girls and be housekeeper. So let me know if you can still hear me, okay? So he accepted my grandmother's 2-year-old son because he needed a housekeeper and someone to help take care of his girls because his wife had died in a fire. So they chose to get married. So this marriage was not out of love, it was out of convenience. But that's that's the life my grandmother chose to live. She didn't know how to, never worked outside the house. She did not know how to drive. So she was completely dependent upon a man. Well, when my dad turned 17, he wants to join the Navy, and so he has to get his birth certificate, and finds out he cannot join the Navy because his driver license says Huff, the man he grew up knowing as thinking his dad, and his birth certificate said a different name, Janeway. So about 30 some years ago, all my kids were little. Okay, my son's 10 years old-ish, 10-ish, and I have 5 children. And I'm starting to wonder about like my dad's natural father, and how do I find him? And this is before the internet. And I'm pretty much an investigator at heart. And I saw a movie. Not a movie. How many of you watched the Waltons growing up? That was one of my favorite. Well, one of the Walton shows, on one of the shows of the Waltons, the girl, I think her name was Cindy, she married one of the Walton boys, and she was looking for her mother. And she put an ad in the local paper looking for the whereabouts of and her mom's name. Well, that's what I did. I put in the newspaper looking for the whereabouts of Paul Janeway. And I had a lady call me. I put my phone number in there, and this woman was pissed off and asked me, why are you looking for the Paul Janeway? And I started to tell her, oh no, that can't be him. That can't be him. And I started telling her more information of because my grandmother by this time had passed away. And so I only knew a little bit. And then she's like, well, maybe it's him. So she ended up sending me pictures, but she would never let Paul know that I had tried to contact him. And so, okay. So all these years later, okay, so she sent me pictures of Paul and from a newspaper clipping because he was in World War II. Well, come to find out, years later, when computers first started coming out, and I don't know how, probably maybe 5 to 8 years later, I ended up getting a part-time job. And we never had a computer, so I used a computer at work. And I ended up finding Paul Janeway, and I called him. And where did he live? Well, at that time, he ended up living in Ozark, Missouri, which is 20 miles away from Branson. So that's how we ended up getting this timeshare in Branson. And another reason why we said yes to the timeshare, because my husband does not like to travel. He does not go on vacations. Does not. So I thought, well, and he said yes to the timeshare because I thought, well, if we go visit my grandpa, we'll have a place to stay. And it's like home away from home. And we could always rent it out. And Tim agreed. So we both signed a contract and said yes to the timeshare. And it does force Tim to take a vacation. And that's why the two of us are here now in Branson, Missouri. Because we have this timeshare. And it's by a point system. And you either use them or you lose them. And I don't agree in losing them. So anyway, a year and a half after I found my grandfather, he passed away. But I will tell you, that year and a half, darlings. So when he passed away, when my dad and I found out, because one of the things that also happened was when my dad found out about Paul. So here's kind of the funny part about it. When I call Paul, and he's in a assisted living home by this time, had part of his leg amputated to diabetes. Well, I found out different things, okay? And my dad got to be with his natural father, got to know him. Come to find out, Paul never even knew my dad existed. My grandmother never told him she was pregnant. Because grandma, for some reason in her mind, thought he was married. And he told me, no, I was divorced. So I don't know how the thinking was back in those days. But it was a glorious reunion. And maybe it was just supposed to happen after my grandmother passed. But I asked him one time, I asked Paul, so why did you quit dating my grandmother? Now, this is an answer I never would have expected. Because at first he didn't remember my grandma. Because it had been 60-some years. Okay? I didn't even know he had another son. So he forgot all about my grandma. And he said that when he went to go pick her up one time, and my grandma chewed, and she had chew in her teeth. And he said, oh, no, not that. Well, instead of talking to her, he just said no more. And so I would have grown up with the last name, possibly Tammy Janeway versus Tammy Huff. I think about that every now and then. But anyway, so for a year and a half, my dad and his father got to know each other. And they were like spitting images of each other. Like, girls, I'm not kidding. My dad is a joker and he jokes a lot. He's fun-loving most of the time. Now that I'm out of the house, okay? He was tough to grow up with. And my grandpa was the same way. Like, wow. And they're both were flirts. Like, they had a lot of the same similarities. Same. But that year and a half, my grandfather told me when he was on his, we could say, deathbed, because we knew he was getting ready. Okay, and I have to tell you this, 2 eagles just showed up. I can see them above the tree line. Wow. Just flying above. Oh, now there's 3. Okay, yeah. Oh, goodness, girls, that's awesome. Okay, so when my grandfather, my dad and I, as soon as we found out he was in the hospital, we got in the car and we went. It's like an 7 to 8 hour drive one way. And we came to Ozark, where he was at. And he whispered in my ear, "Tammy, thank you so much for giving me my life back." For that 1.5 years, he knew my dad and me and all my kids that he never knew his entire lifetime. For that 1.5 years, he felt like he had his life back. So, ladies, if there's something that is niggling within you, if there's something that is calling or that you're curious about, follow that. Follow that. You never know how it can create a shift in your life and the life of someone else. Yes, it ended up to be good. Yes, it could have been completely opposite, but you will never know until you try. Until you take that 1 foot forward, that 1 step forward. You'll never know until you try. If there's a niggling within you, maybe it's time to say yes to it and find out the rest of the information. Get out of your imagination and what story you're creating and find the rest of the information. For some reason, somebody needed to hear that today. So that is how we ended up in Branson. And I always like to see the changing of colors of the trees and the leaves. I'd like to travel the East Coast to see that. So, Carol, what did you give to your cousin? I don't remember what I was saying. But, so Joanne says, yep, hearing you. I hear you, Tammy. Follow that which keeps tapping you on the shoulder. Truly. Truly, truly. You know, girls, I need this as much as you do. Coming here every Wednesday. I felt like this morning, getting ready for this, I felt like it had been like weeks. Well, thank you, Carol. Well, see, girl, this is what I'm saying. You asked me where we were. And I'm like, oh, there's a story with this one. And you know who likes also hearing the stories? Is Sasquatch. Because I have been thinking about them. Oh, interesting, Carol. Okay. So Carol says, oh my, this was an amazing story. I needed that message. Okay, now I get it, Carol. Also, in regards to her fern from her grandmother, she said it was a fern. It was time to go to another home. That's what you gave your cousin. Okay. I bet she loves it, doesn't she? Oh, Now that you redid your house, is that the reason why? You have new space for new things. Grandmother, yes. Ladies, thank you so much. I'm so glad I stayed on here longer. I was feeling like, okay, it's almost time to get off. I can't think of anything else. And it's just like that being with each other, of just being in the energy, creates space for something else to come through. Did you see how that worked? Just being, like 20 minutes ago when we were just being with each other in that space of silence. Help for something new and different to come through. And the fact that Carol asked, where are you at? So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. I adore each and every one of you, whether you're here live or listening to the replay. Oh, I adore you. I adore each and every one of you. Let's keep this chat going on inside our Facebook group. If there's anything you want to share, comment, you can reach out to me at hello@𝘠𝗏𝐿𝐴MeRALDCompass.com. Again, that's hello@𝘠𝗏𝐿𝐴MeRALDCompass.com. Or you can send me a private Facebook message. Thank you, Joanne. She loved our visit, as I do too, darling. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Have a great, glorious day. Carol, go back to the beginning and listen to this. The beginning. I think you'll really like it. If nothing else, it'll crack you up laughing. Cheers, everyone.